Hi everybody and welcome to week 4. This week we're talking about gathering data, analysis, and feedback. To gather data, we can use a number of different techniques. Questionnaires, surveys, or instrumentation are kind of the most popular ones, and they're frequently done online. There's lots of software that you can use that will allow you to distribute a survey really quickly and allow people to do it online and tabulate the results for you, and it's snap, crackle, pop real quick. But it does give you only a specific kind of information. You might need different kinds of information that's more qualitative in nature, in the sense that interviews or focus groups or observation would be necessary. What I've come to find is that with surveys and questionnaires and instruments, you get kind of a direction on data. You don't necessarily get to how to resolve the problem sometimes. And so I find that using a multi-method system, so both an interviewing kind of qualitative approach as well as a quantitative kind of survey-based approach, tends to work very well. Other ways are observation, just going into the workplace and watching how people work, what kind of processes they use, how things are going, and then unobtrusive measures. Unobtrusive measures are things like historical documents, metrics documents, strategic planning documents, things like that where you can just kind of go in and dig through records and see information about the organization. Don't be surprised, though, when you go in to try and gather information from people that they have a lot of questions for you. You need to be prepared to address these kinds of questions. Who are you? Why are you here? Why should I talk to you? What are you trying to do? Why should I trust you? What about my confidentiality? Are you going to go and tell my boss what I said about them? These are very important questions. They go back, if you think back, to the entering and contracting phase of the OD process. This is when those questions for you and the employer need to be worked out. Because when you get to this moment, you want to be able to give the employees the assurances that they need in order to be able to open up and have a conversation with you. And so if you're wondering about the difference between quantitative and qualitative data, quantitative data is numerical data. It's numbers. Qualitative data really goes to content and meaning. What do those things mean that you've learned? It's like the difference between a color and a hue of a color. So a little bit more nuance in qualitative data, a little bit more strong direction in quantitative data. Now you're probably saying to yourself, I've got all this data, what do I do with it? You analyze it. With quantitative data, you're looking at statistical methods. You might be doing something as simple as a percentage or a count of something, or you could go all the way to regression analysis and correlations and things like that, depending on the level of precision you're looking for. Qualitative data, you're doing things like coding and memoing and recursive abstraction and diagramming and thematic analysis. We do have a whole course in this curriculum about analyzing data. So you don't need to master it at this point, but becoming familiar with the difference between quantitative and qualitative data is important. Another analysis tool that we use in organization development is the idea of force field analysis. So when we get data, we look at that data in light of the change that we're trying to achieve. Is the data helping us drive that change forward, or is that data restraining change from taking place? Is it a barrier, or is it an enabler of change? Doing a force field analysis can help you kind of get the sense of what levers are going to help you enact this change. Another thing that's really important to consider when looking at data is the purpose of the data. Are we looking to assess something, or are we looking to evaluate something? And there is a difference between assessment and evaluation. Assessment is the idea that we're trying to look at things to create an increase in quality. It's a developmental process. It's about growth and reaching potential. Where evaluation is about judging. We're saying, okay, here's our standard, and this is where we are. We either met it or we didn't. Another kind of quick litmus test about the difference between assessment and evaluation is to ask yourself who is benefiting from this process. Is it the person being assessed? Are we helping them to grow and develop? Or is it for evaluation where people like stockholders and senior managers look to see how the organization is doing? So what's coming up next? We have discussion board due this week by Wednesday. We have our usual weekly self-assessment. This week we have quiz 1 due by Sunday night at 11:59. And I'd like for you to think ahead about your OD practitioner interview. Think about who you might want to be talking to and how you can get in touch with them in advance to participate in your interview project. Have a great day, everyone.